Hey, Namaste. So I've decided I'm going to do part 3 of soul and spirit. What is the difference between a soul and a spirit? And this is really more about the soul aspect. So part 3 is an extension really of part 1 and 2. Really, because this is to do with, I missed a couple of bits out when I spoke about. So I was saying the soul cannot die, okay, but the soul can be damaged and can be in need of great repair for many hundreds of what we would class as Earth years worth of linear time. Though it, to us, in that time, it's like a blink of an eye. Sounds like a long time, but it can take 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 years for you to heal in one of these, I call them light pods, within a healing city, within a healing hospital. You call it a spiritual hospital if you like. Many people who have had near-death experiences have come back and said it looks like a hospital, and I would tend to agree, kind of, and like an etheric hospital made out of light. Where is this hospital? It's in the astral. Where do you go on point of death? You go to the astral, usually, unless you're a very rare 5th density entity, a warrior, a light warrior, but unless you're a 5th density wanderer or a 6th density wanderer, and then you would not go back to the astral. You would go straight past the astral and straight up to your native density of consciousness. The astral, there's different layers to the astral, an infinite number of layers. But we as humans tend to group these as the lower astral, the middle astral, and the upper astral. The lower astral is the very low frequency, low dense vibration. It's usually where people end up when they're lost souls, what people call lost souls. If you've been murdered, or if you've committed suicide, if you've died in a war and you knew nothing about the afterlife, you were not spiritual at all. The biggest, or if you were a very rich person who had absolutely no idea in this physical life that there even was an afterlife, if you did not believe in the afterlife at all, and you had never had a spiritual experience at all, then it can be the biggest shock ever when you leave here, when you die all of a sudden of a heart attack or whatever, and you didn't see it coming, and you suddenly end up in a mystical place that seems far more real than this. And it is in many ways. The astral is in many ways far more quote unquote real than this. It's closer to the higher frequency. It's the 4th density. The astral is the 4th density consciousness. So when you go into that 4th density, that 4th dimensional state, you are beyond time. So you can get time dilation, time contraction. And your soul can be very, very shocked, in a state of shock. And in that state of shock, you tend to need a lot of care. You tend to have to go to one of these healing pods, one of these healing cathedrals, healing temples. People call them all different things, spiritual hospitals. Check out some of the near-death experiences. A lot of people have reported witnessing and being in these hospitals. And I've also witnessed being in one of these healing stations, healing pods. And it's really weird because you can't move. And it's like, something's not quite right. You're fully conscious, but you can't move. Something's holding you in place. Almost like it's against your will, but you can also tell at the same time that it's for your good. You somehow psychically know that it's for your good, but it's a weird feeling. It's a very weird feeling, but it's all for your soul good. It's soul healing. And if you're wandering around the astral, it's the higher density beings who go out of their way in service to others, and it's their service. The ones from Venus, a perfect example. The Venetians, Venetians, or there's many different ways of, the golden radiant ones. They look like golden radiant light bodies, and they are golden radiant light bodies. They've got a kind of a human body, but it's much taller than a human body. It's perceived to be, if we are perceived to be 6 foot, they're perceived to be about 12 foot. But they're very long and slender and golden radiant light. They're in the 6th density, and they've literally, it's their job, it's their mission, it's their purpose to rescue lost wandering souls. They comb the astral in teams, and they go up and down and in and out of the fields of the astral planes, and looking for lost, quote unquote, lost souls. The murdered and the murderers tend to be these lost souls. The victims of murder and also the murderers, because when they kill and then usually kill themselves, they then realize that they're karmically attached to this soul that they thought that they'd killed. They thought that was the end of both of them. Well, can you imagine the shock when both the victim and the murderer end up energetically attached in the astral realm? And they're freaking out beyond belief, because neither of them can believe what's just happened, and neither of them even knew that there was an afterlife. The biggest problem is the ones who don't believe in an afterlife. When they pass over, the shock can be really, really jarring to their soul energy, to their energy matrix, and it can really rattle them to the core, to their spirit core. Of course, we spoke about nuclear explosions. Any bomb, anybody who gets blown up, because the pineal gland doesn't have a chance to open. Okay, so it doesn't release you through the normal way. You usually get released through your head. Your soul literally comes out through your pineal, through your head. Okay. Now, when you get blown up in a bomb, any kind of bomb, or when you get your head blown off or something, or whatever, by some kind of a claymore mine or something like that, for example. Many people don't believe in the afterlife anymore. Many people, most people, although the number is growing because of the enormous amount of near-death experiences, and the sheer numbers of people who are getting hypnotized and are regressing great fine detail, extremely profoundly, impossibly complex details about other lives, things that they couldn't possibly have known. Many start speaking their native language, like fluent French or fluent German or fluent Chinese, whatever it is, Mandarin, So there's an overwhelming evidence now, scientifically, that suggests that reincarnation is very, very real. It's tipped. The weight of evidence has tipped into the favour of almost certainly reincarnation exists to the scientists who've studied it. They cannot deny this anymore. So people are becoming more and more aware, but even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there wasn't as many hypnotherapists, and there wasn't as many people talking about near-death experiences because of the stigma attached. It's only in the last 10 or 15 years that we've had so many people come out in the open that there's less stigma. Okay, so there's many different ways that a soul will need this healing in one of these healing centers. On Venus, they have all these different healing centers. Venus is a healing planet. They have 13 archetypal minds on Venus, 13 zodiac signs, whereas we only have 12. That's another very misunderstood thing, that the zodiacs and astrology, that's being really taken out of context. It isn't what it used to be. There's something more to astrology, and it's to do with the archetypal minds. So the actual zodiac signs are just symbols representing an archetypal mind. And we all come with these certain traits, these certain archetypal minds. So how long does a soul need healing for? Well, like I said, 500 years, 600 years, 800 years sounds like a long time. And that's how long many of these healings need to go on for. But time over there, it can seem different. That can sometimes feel like just a few years, which still seems like a long time, right? But you're in a different state of consciousness. They put you, the Venetians or the whoever, whichever place you go to, it's not just Venus. There's many other healing cathedrals, healing hospitals, spirit hospitals, whatever you want to call them, and there's many others throughout the galaxy. But Venus tends to be our local one, and that tends to be their role that they've stepped up to do. They're healers and they're educators of humanity. That's why they helped build the pyramids along with Thoth, because there were ascension and healing chambers. There were also power units, ways of transferring power and transmitting power wirelessly. There were ascension chambers and there were healing chambers. So they were for spiritual healing, your soul healing, and they were for physical body healing. Of course, they don't work anymore. Not since the Ark of the Covenant was taken out of the King's Chamber box. That square casket thing that they told you was a tomb. That isn't the case. That was a healing chamber, and that's where a source of power would be inserted. That's the exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant, the King's Chamber box. It had a lid. So yeah, I think that's pretty much covered everything. We've gone over the 12 chakras. The only other thing that I can say is, so the more spiritual evolution you can do in this lifetime, the more meditation you can do, silent meditation, really going deep, the more you can get to know that silent space, that alternate reality. Plant medicine ceremonies can be very useful. That can be like a dress rehearsal for quote-unquote transition, death, what people call death. You do an ayahuasca ceremony, God, that's like a dress rehearsal for transitioning. That's pretty much everything you're going to go through, some of what you're going to go through when you transition. You face all of what you've done in this life, but not just that, each lifetime, but then you set the karmic lessons for your next lifetime. What does that go by? Does that just go by this lifetime? No, it doesn't. It goes by your entire light quotient. Your light quotient is a sum total of all of your lifetimes. All of your lifetimes. So to truly heal your soul, to do true soul healing, you need to not only heal from this lifetime, you need to heal from every other lifetime that is still affecting you in this lifetime. I guarantee you at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 other lifetimes are affecting this current lifetime, because we carry memory forward in residual karmic energy. So the more work you can do to heal everything in this lifetime, then maybe you can go to see a QHHT, quantum healing hypnotherapy technique healer, or a past life healer. QHHT is the most profound and deep level of healing, I would say. Just get as much cleared as you can in this lifetime. That's all I can tell you. And meditate and face your issues in this lifetime, because I guarantee you, any issues that you think that you're avoiding in this lifetime, you will come back and you'll do all of that again, along with everything else from every other lifetime. And if you're not careful, it can just keep on adding up, and that's how you get stuck in these cycles, in these endless reincarnation cycles, without progressing forwards very much. It's like one step forwards, two steps back with many people. get as much cleared as you can in this lifetime, from this lifetime, and then if you've got the ability and if you can afford it, and if you've got the ability to, the transport to go and do it, get yourself out and go and see a QHHT healer or similar, somebody who can regress you back through lifetimes and contact your higher self. Only your higher self truly knows, and your oversoul, but your higher self is easier to contact. You need to contact your higher self, and you need to, you see, if you're still having karmic lessons, but you've learned your lesson, then you don't need that karma anymore. And your higher self, you can request that your higher self cancels that karmic lesson that's been carried forward from lifetime to lifetime. If you've already learned that lesson in this lifetime, then you can heal from that disease, or you can heal from that bad back, or you can heal from that psychological trauma or that emotional trauma. It's something to think about, Get as much cleared as you possibly can in this lifetime. Okay. Namaste.